Hi everyone, it's Veroosh. Welcome to my channel. We're going to take a look at the Jupiter-Neptune Conjunction for the fire signs right now. This is a very long reading because we are going to do the full 3 readings for the 3 fire signs. So we're going to do Aries, then Leo, and last Sagittarius. If you've watched my other videos on this topic, you'll know that I put together full videos for you guys into the elemental dignity sort of category. This is just so that everybody gets access to a message for this very special event. Earlier today, I did a live stream for the Jupiter conjunction, and I explained a little bit more about the astrology and hopefully provided you with some food for thought with regard to what's going on. I also did a very short reading in that video. There are about 4 or 5 minute long messages for every single sign, so you can go and watch that. And yesterday we did the Saturn squaring the nodes opposite the moon, and that was also helpful. So there's a lot of new content. There's a lot going on, and I'm glad you could be here. So we're going to start with Aries first because I think Aries has been going last. So we can start with Aries first. I'm going to start with the Braille. So this is a deck we've been using for messages. These messages are very long term. So this conjunction happens once every 150 years. It's very rare in the sign of Pisces. Both Jupiter and Neptune rule Pisces, so we're really in a pivot point at this time. So I thought it would be nice to do like a very holistic reading and take a deeper look at things, okay? So we have 2 messages. First of all, these are just channeled messages. So we have woman, feminine. The first 21 cards of this deck are like the higher arcana. And then we have pure intentions, which is the star, the soulmate card. Okay, and this also rules Aquarius. It feels as though, Aries, you're meant to have very special connections with people. You're meant to have a very special interaction. People who are coming into your life are very good for you, and there's a real spiritual quality to this conjunction for you. And so you may be going through or experiencing a lot of very transcendental moments with others. So I sense that there's a woman or female energy that you are drawn towards, or that you are interacting with in some way. And this is a very pure, good energy towards you, okay? So now let's take a look at the next 2 cards. We have Doorway. And these are light language cards. If you guys know about light language, we have Big and Doorway. I have a feeling as though you're meant to take a step in a new direction. From today's earlier reading, it seemed as though this was very spiritual sort of transit for you. It's in the 12th house. I'll show you in a moment. But I feel as though you're meant to begin something big with this conjunction, and you're meant to start something big. Walk through something that is, how do I say, something really, really big is beginning. And so I think you're on beginning that. So I think you should be excited. The next 2 cards are Friendship. Okay, so we have Friendship. And then we have the Slowing Down energy. Okay. So I feel as though this isn't slowing down a friendship. This is you spending time with friends to have a slower time and relax. Improvement of relationships. Probably fewer better friends, and rather than a lot of people you don't know, just more casual friends. You're more focused on, in one-on-one relationships. Some of you are taking a very serious step with someone towards a big goal or a big destiny. So there's something very important ahead of you. I have a feeling that you have very good relationships with women at this time, and women are bringing positivity into your life. Why don't we pick a couple angel cards? If you guys know, I've been pulling them with these little balls inside. And it's kind of fun as the balls jump out as we pull the cards. So we have gratitude. You have a very good relationship with someone. It's really coming up as a good relationship. This could be romantic, but it's more of a feminine energy, and it may be a friendship, a strong friendship, a strong connection, grateful for each other. You know, when someone is grateful of you, or when you're grateful of someone else, you don't make mistakes because you don't want to jeopardize that person in your life now. And so I think that there's a very solid foundation between you and someone else. And I think this is going to be a big part of you moving forward. I think it's going to be inspirational. And I think it's going to be very tied to spirituality in your life. Let's see the next card. We have spontaneity, doorway big. Something unexpected is coming your way. It's unexpected, and it's opening up opportunities for you in new directions. So whatever is going to come up, it's going to be quite unexpected and quite like, wow, okay, this is happening now. So whatever opportunity is coming up for you, I think that's pretty exciting. And then the third card, we have friendship and slowing down, and this is kindness. So I really sense with this energy like a smooth energy, friendship, more focused on, like hanging out together in a relaxed atmosphere, less invested in trying to like figure out things and be super social. This is just a one-on-one, good understanding, like hanging out on a Thursday afternoon, watching a movie or something after work. Very, very slow, very, very fulfilling relationship, someone you can talk to a lot. So there's definitely very strong hints of profound friends around you at this time and profound connections. So without being in a rush for anything. So very, very nice energies. Okay, so why don't I show you the astrology, and then we'll get into the main part of the reading. So first of all, the conjunction between Neptune and Jupiter is in your 12th house. Now, we've already talked about this earlier today, so go watch that video if you want to know more. But this conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune is in your 12th house, which has a lot to do with spirituality and kind of looking in. A lot of what's going on for you is from a very spiritual level. When I say spiritual, I don't mean like performative or, kind of like jumping on trends and doing all that. I think that there's a subtlety, a personal connection to spirit, to energy. And so without any external validation, without any reference point to anybody else. And I think that this is a very healing energy for you as well, because Chiron's in your first house, and it's really bringing in compassion into your life from this kind of being at peace with the world around you. Earlier today, I was talking about how this energy isn't necessarily all about traditional religions or even new age religions or paganism or something like that. Essentially, anything that humans have created to describe it limits the potential of being accurate, right? And so your energy here is much more, it doesn't matter about any external structure that you can express it through. It's that direct connection. It's being very directly connected to spirituality at this time. And so this conjunction in some way in your life brings you a heightened awareness and a very strong level of peace and awareness about yourself, possibly about your goals. And then that can extend to other things like money, so and material possessions, which is the second house. So you're at peace with yourself, and therefore you understand your environment. And through understanding your environment, you're able to discern what kind of circumstances you're actually in, what kind of people you have around you, all of that stuff. So the way that this reading works is that it's a horoscope spread, but I'm not going to like lay out the cards in a circle. I'll just go through the horoscope with you guys, and we'll talk about how this energy relates to this heightened spiritual experience that you're embarking on, okay? So we'll see what comes up. First, we have the first house. So this is where we have Chiron. Yeah, I sense that there's a degree of defensiveness that has come up from having to defend oneself for a very long time. Chiron, I sense being tired of having to defend yourself. I sense tired of like the details, the splitting of hairs, the nitpicking that's been going on. We have the Seven of Pentacles, which is for the first house right here. And it's your birthday, so I should say happy birthday. So happy birthday, Aries. We have the Ace of Pentacles, definitely waiting on, an opportunity to move forward. You're waiting for the right moment to take your next step. And I think that that's really aligned well to the second house that we were talking about just now, because of course the second house is the house of money, and we have Uranus in the North Node in your sign this year. So you're taking some very significant financial steps, and with Uranus there, it's very likely that they are, they are unexpected by others. So just you're doing it your own way. And then we have the King of Wands, Sag, Leo, or Aries. A new beginning is coming to you. I think that you're going to go through a personal transformation. I think not many people know your plan. It's very likely that you're waiting to take a next step that will affect your finances. And so those things are coming to you. And it looks as though you've been waiting quite a long time to establish that. Let's see a card. We have the message of expectancy. So this can refer to children, but this can also refer to waiting for something, putting effort in towards something and waiting for an outcome. Okay, so now let's take a look at the second house. The second house is right here with Uranus and the North Node. That's a very favorable angle to the conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune. So I know your message is very esoteric because it is the 12th house and it's all about your alignment. And I'm trying to purposefully avoid saying things such as oneness or, collective consciousness, all these little terms that people, use, because those are limiting. It's really a spiritual connection to whatever guides all of us collectively. And so you're really tapped in. So any way to express that or conceptualize it is limiting to the full potential of the conjunction right there. It's a very powerful spot for that. And in some way, you're seeing more than all of us about the current world events. And that's affecting your second house to the effect that, when you really understand what's going on, then you know what to do. You know how to respond. So you see things before other people do. So we have Queen of Pentacles. You've been defending yourself in some way financially. You have been either at your job trying to set boundaries to make sure that everybody respects you. You've stood up on your own, and that is a huge part of this energy. You have the Ace of Swords. Some of you are on the brink of, putting in your resignation letter and taking a next step on your own. Maybe after a period of, stepping away. And we have 10 of Pentacles. You have a lot to rely on. You've really built yourself up financially, and there's a lot that you're working with. And so therefore you're ready to take the next step. You're really ready to move ahead. And then we have purpose. There's an element here in the first two houses that I see right away as a theme that's emerging, which is that you don't want to act without purpose. We had the Seven of Pentacles in the first spread. There's this kind of like, you have all the resources to go and do something, but I think you're very hesitant to go do certain things unless you know it's right. So it's all about waiting for timing for the right moment. And I think that you're sort of really being picky and choosy. And I think that that's a very good approach. But the outcome continues to be very strong financial relationships, very strong financial situations between yourself and others. Now we're going to move into the third house, which is Gemini. And so for you in your chart, so this is less of a favorable position with the conjunction of Neptune and Jupiter. There's a conflict of interest there between your family or between your family or between your environment. There's things that you want that don't necessarily align with your immediate vicinity. Or maybe your siblings are not necessarily understanding of your energy. And so we have the Nine of Pentacles. Again, I'm getting from you that there's a lot of financial success around you, and that can be somewhat alienating. Your success, you pushing forward, you forging ahead. There's a conflict of interest because to grow and to forge ahead means leaving things behind. And then we have the Queen of Wands, Sag, Leo, or Aries. There's a lot of shine here, which means that you're bringing a lot of light to situations. You look good, and to the people around you, they see your energy level really high. So this is the energy, but it is coming at a conflict in some way. In other words, don't dumb down this energy for anyone else. I sense that some people may not be able to receive you in the way that you deserve to be received at this time, and I don't think it's your business to try to convince them. Why don't we pick a card for you? We have integrity. So act with integrity. You've earned what you have. You've put in the effort. And with that effort comes good things. But I think that how it translates to the people around you is that you have to be very cautious in how you present that energy, how you communicate it, because not everybody's going to understand or vibe with or resonate with what you have going on. So you need to protect yourself a little bit at this time. Okay, so now let's take a look at the fourth house, which is house and home. There's no transits here, and this is a very favorable aspect to the conjunction. Very favorable for you to spend time at home and relax and be secluded a little bit, incubate a little bit, nesting, all those things. We have Justice, which is the card of Libra. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles, a Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn. I have a feeling that you're really taking a detour, Aries. You're going in a new direction, and I don't think it matters if anybody is coming along with you. I think that you're putting some situations to rest and moving ahead. I really get this Knight of Swords energy for you. I have a feeling that not everybody's going to be on board with what you're doing, but I don't think it's also anybody else's business. So I think any kind of critical or even hostile energy that you get from others from choosing to do what you're doing, you need to put that in the right place and pretty much avoid it. That doesn't mean it's something bad. It's just you're getting resistance from others. And then we have play. So it's about your enjoyment. I really get the sense that you have earned the things that you have now. And there's a feeling of, I just want to go home, or I just want to hang out and relax. There's a feeling that I'm getting from you to just wanting to separate and wanting to have peace from outside intrusion. Let's see the fifth house right now. So fifth house is less intense of an angle for you at this time with this conjunction, but the fifth house is the house of fun and joy and children and romance, but this is not a connection. This is a very transit. This transit Jupiter and Neptune for you is very not isolation. It is isolationist. It's really all about you at the end of the day, and it's with very little reference to anybody else, if that makes sense. So in terms of relationships, it's not that they're not there, it's just not the focus of this transit. So we have Chariot here. As we work on ourselves and as we come to terms with ourselves, we can finally consolidate some things with others. There could be a relationship with a Cancer that is greatly improving at this time. So if you know a Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, things can improve. I think that there's this energy here of putting the past behind you, which means that whatever's happened between you and someone else, you're moving past that very quickly. There's no hard feelings, and even someone might be reaching out to someone else to make peace or, you know, just work things out. But there may be resistance. So if you're thinking of reaching out to an ex, you know, say your sorries or to figure things out, there may be resistance here. Or if somebody's reaching out to you, maybe you don't pick up on the first ring sort of situation. It's not saying that it's not going to be accepted, but I think that there is a degree of resistance with that. And so what's coming in your 5th house is clarity. So if there's been a romantic situation that has eluded you, if something has not been so forthright or clear cut, I have a feeling that with whatever's going on in the 5th house in relation to this piece of awareness that you are going through, I think that you're going to understand that relationship better. So if someone ghosted you or if there was a miscommunication, at this time you may gain better perspective about what's going on. That truth may come to you at this time. Okay, so now let's take a look at your 6th house. Now that's directly opposite to the conjunction, which is interesting. This means that there is a really strong vantage point or a point of observation from the 6th house into what this conjunction means. What I mean is the 6th house has a lot to do with daily activity, what you do on the day-to-day basis. And so when you're looking at the 12th house from the 6th house, you can see, maybe you will not see directly how your perspective change is affecting you straight in the 6th house, in the 12th house, sorry, but it is in your daily activities that you will see a substantial change from this centeredness, from this perspective you are receiving. So it may not be like a eureka moment where you're like, aha, I have it all figured out. But you may see things in your life really fall into line at this time. And just by simply choosing, because your mindset has subtly changed and your mindset is different. So therefore you're relating to everyday occurrences differently. So things that bothered you may not bother you anymore. You may have, you know, better answers to questions. Just all of those kinds of things. Things that you didn't understand, you understand better now. It comes with a lot of good energy. So we have for the 6th house, 8 of Wands. I'm really getting the energy of reconnection and communication about things. Maybe where there was anger, there could be peace at this time. Let's see what else is coming. We have the 2 of Cups. There's a real reconnection sort of vibe that's shown up in the first 6 readings. And so, you know, I don't know if there's someone you really regret being in a conflict with, or if there's separation between you and someone else, because it feels like it might be coming together now. And we have King of Wands. This could be very well your energy. It almost feels like there's a missing piece of the puzzle in terms of people in your life. Like there's one person or a couple people that are really missing in your life at this time. And it seems as though this shift of awareness is actually bringing you closer with others. So you may see the re-entry of people into your life. And I get this vibe also. It's the card blanche, which means that it doesn't have a specific word attached to it. To me, this suggests that it's really up to you what happens. And I think that you're really the maker of your destiny in this space. So you choose what you do day to day. You choose who you open the door to, who you call. And those actions are going to accumulate until you reach some kind of outcome, right? And you come to realize, aha, you know, this is who I've chosen to be over the last few months, and these are my outcomes. So very cool energy there. Again, 7th house is understated. So this is the really personal relationship similar to the 5th house, but a bit more serious. This is not necessarily an energy that's focused on that, but this energy will affect it indirectly. What I mean by that is this energy isn't directly working on your relationships, but as you change, your relationships will change with it. So let's see what's going on in your 7th house. We have the Star. Okay, so this is the card of Aquarius. So there's strong Aquarian energy around you at this time. a lot of energy about friends, you know, so they're waiting in the periphery. Then we have the High Priestess. Those cards are very powerful together. And we have the Two of Cups. I really get the sense that there's kinship around you. There's people or a person who you're really meant to be connected with. And I think that there's a real deep and profound connectedness between you and someone else. Let's see the next energy. We have discernment. You really see someone for who they are, and it's really bringing you appreciation for their virtue. So it's mutual. So someone else feels this way about you, and you feel this way about them. There's a really good connection between the two of you. Okay? So now let's take a look at the 8th house. And so this is another one of those houses that's very strongly aligned to the 12th house. The 8th and the 12th house are very connected. And so basically what they refer to is the supernatural sort of experiences, different aspects of the occult and spirituality and connectedness. So for you, the South Node is actually in the 8th house. So that connection to past lives, to deep truths and deep understanding, you're in a very meditative state at this time, Aries. Like, a lot is coming to you from the perspective of spirituality. And I don't mean hokey pokey spirituality. I mean, you know, just your personal reflections and like your deep connections. Let's see what kind of cards we have. Very defensive towards others, very quick to cut people out at this time. Then we have the Hermit, a lot of choices to be alone. So rather than being with someone else, I'll be alone. Very, very careful, very quick to cut people off. I think I saw this in a lot of readings. A lot of people are very selective at this time. And we have Four of Pentacles. There's that feeling of, you know, if this shoe doesn't fit, I just want to be alone and figure things out and wait for a better shoe to fit a bit better. So you're really willing to pull yourself out of situations and even be alone and restrict connections and restrict interaction if there's a vibe about it that's just not with it. So we have harmony here. So I think you're very protective of your harmony and very, very much trying to make sure that it's protected and that's not infringed upon. So very selective, very quick to cut things off, very quick to just go home at the end of the day instead of trying to interact with others. Okay. So that's what's important. And you're choosing it. It's not happening to you. You're just in that mindset at this time. So this is the 9th house is going to be a stress angle to the conjunction. This has to do with worldly things. I don't think you're thinking about the world like world politics or things like that. I think your mind is wandering very much towards the spiritual. So you're guided towards the spiritual. It makes more sense. It's a very kind of like, yeah, just incubation and nestling and just being cozy within yourself and any harmony that it's almost like being in a really toasty and cozy room. And, you know, when you open the window and the sharp air comes in, it's like, hey, what's infiltrating my space? So you're very, very selective at this time. And I think worldly matters, like such things as politics, you know, news or any kind of current events, they're just not welcome. And any people that are bringing those things to you through them, I think that you're kind of like, it's not the level at which you're thinking. It's not where your mind is at this time. So let's see what's going on here. We have the Four of Pentacles, resistance. I'm getting a lot of resistance from you in many different directions, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that the things that are good, you double down on, and then the things that you have to do or that are inconvenient, I think you're very skeptical in order to protect. You're like a mama bear with her cubs, like not letting anything near them. Then we have justice. I think this is a good time in which you do have the space to kind of be more independent. And then we have the Six of Cups. And I think from that will come friendships and connections that are truly higher quality and better. We're going to talk about that more in just a little bit, but I think that your awareness is affecting your how do you say, discernment a lot, and that discernment is leading you right into the arms of really good friends and really good connections. It's not just like anyone is okay. I think you're very selective and like, I'm not going to just take anyone. I'm just going to spend time with people I really trust. The next energy is here in Capricorn, and that's your 10th house of career. This is a really important position for you at this time, because this is another one of those steps away from the limelight, away from center stage. And by that, I mean that you're stepping away from, you know, the focus on your career, the focus on everybody else. And I think that you're sort of really focusing on what's good for you. Many of you are doing a lot of heart healing and taking care of yourselves and really addressing the things that you need to address, you know, about your holistic experience. And I don't think that necessarily this will directly improve your social situations and your social standing, but I do think that your focus is, you can't be bothered, honestly. You're very quick to, you know, turn your phone off and run away at the end of the day and just do your own thing, because you're so with your thoughts and impressions and your own kind of, you're vibing right now. And then we have the Four of Wands. And then we have the Six of Swords. I know it says Wands, that's a mistake. And then we have the Ten of Swords. I think that you run away from places in which you see or meet a lot of people. And I think that you're spending a lot of time reflecting upon those spaces and passing decisions or judgment about the types of people you're meeting and what they represent. And I think that you're also very quick to say certain environments are not okay for you. You may be feeling as though that's being very picky at this time, but I think that that's exactly what you need to be doing. That's exactly what the energy is saying. Let's pick an angel card. There's a hummingbird that just came up. So we have responsibilities, okay? So this is a reminder that maybe there are responsibilities that you need to take care of. However, I think that your responsibility to yourself is also very important at this time. So you can't just, you know, blow people off. There's also a situation in which you may risk a job. You may risk a work situation because of principles. Something's not going to be what you want it to be, and you're going to take certain steps to make sure that you're in the right position for that. So yes, take your risks if you feel you need to. If something's not feeling right, just go in a different direction. Then we have the 11th house, which is friendship. So again, very selective with friends, good friends in, bad friends out, all of that sort of energy. Let's see what's going on next. We have the 8 of Pentacles, Sun in Virgo. And then we have the Ace of Swords. Friends through work are very strong for you at this time. Saturn can make us a little lonely baloney, right, in the 11th house. So it can sort of isolate us from bad connections. But if there's really good connections, then we are driven towards them, you know. So pushed away from bad connections, but really bond in good environments, especially healthy environments. Any friendship that brings you ill health probably will not be around at this time. You're in a space in which any form of toxicity is bad. It's like a hospital. Hospitals are so clean that even if you like a little hair falls, you know, on the floor, you can see it because of it's so sanitary. So you're in that state of sanitation and being like very cleanly, spiritually or emotionally. And so anything that's unwell or any friendship that detracts from it is just not welcome. Some of you are waiting for a friend. So a friend is far away and you're waiting for them to come back. You're in the middle of working really hard and you're just waiting for the time in which things change a little bit. Let's see the next card. We have the Depth. So maybe there's someone very special that you're waiting for. And this is more of a friendship, or maybe it's relationship, like a romantic relationship. But there's definitely, maybe you're really holding out for a certain quality, a certain depth to that relationship at this time. Okay, so now let's take a look at the 12th house, and this is where the conjunction is. This is your point of spirituality, Aries. This is your point of awareness. Let's see what you get. We have the Hermit. So definitely like a solitary quest. Yes, girl, yes. 10 of Wands. I think you're really getting away from certain complexities in the world. Like you just don't want to be a part of it. And then we have the Queen of Cups, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. I just think that you're reassessing your emotions and really getting in touch with things. Water signs are in strong alignment for you at this time. Water signs are in strong alignment for most of us, but I think that maybe a water sign friend, maybe they have a moon, sun, moon rising in water. They will be particularly, how do you say, maybe they'll be particularly emotionally salient at this time and help you to navigate some of the things you're feeling, some of the things you're thinking. We have exploration. So in the 12th house, exploring different concepts and exploring different ideas, you know, rethinking things through a lot at this time and thinking at time ahead. So it's a very spiritual sort of position for you in the 12th house. It's very quiet and very, you know, kind of doing your own thing without asking anyone else's interjection. So you're stepping away from a lot of social environments, being very selective about who you spend time with. Although relationships, romantic relationships, it feels like they may be overwhelming for you at this time. Like there's just too much there for you to have to bring focus away from your self-awareness. Okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back with more, but there's more videos waiting for you. So you know, go check that out. Okay, so now we're going to move over to Leo. Hey, Leos. Why don't we take a look at the Browtale to get familiar with your energy? The conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune is happening in your 8th house. So bit powerful transformations. I believe that the fire signs are going through more spiritual aspects to this. So no matter what fire sign placement you have, it's tapping into big questions. It's tapping into, you know, kind of like, yeah, those esoteric, metaphysical, kind of nuanced, experiential themes. So your relationship with your family, your relationship to past lives. And so in the 8th house, Leo, this has a lot to do with things that are gone and maybe even things that are beginning, but I think that the conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune is giving you just profound understanding of things and a profound connection to deeper truths in your life. So let's see how the Browtale communicates. So we have the contrast. So this is for the 8th house conjunction. And we have choosing, contrast and choosing. Under a lot of pressure to have made a choice. I feel as though the choice is already behind you, though, and now you're wondering whether you have made the right choice and chosen in the right direction. Let's see the next message. We have the card of action, and we have the people card, which is the High Priestess. Okay, I think that there's something really here about instincts between both messages, that you're meant to have a strong instinct about a situation, and a situation is about to come up for you and you're meant to make a decision. I think that somebody might be providing you some kind of insight in terms of which way you need to go. I have a feeling that there's like a, how do you say, not ultimatum, but there's a very distinct problem with two very polarizing sides to it that you are meant to navigate. Then we have perseverance, number 68, and we have number 75, waiting. So it's like waiting for the right time to make the decision here. And I think that there's polarizing sides to it, meaning it's not middle of the road, or there's like quite a bit of variance between the two different options. And if you choose one, then your life will go in one direction. If you choose the other, your life will go in a different direction. So some pretty profound things. And then we have resilience. Okay, resilience. So I think that there's a hostile situation that you have either cleared or you're in now that you're clearing. You're going to be fine, first of all, but I do feel as though you feel a certain degree of hostility from someone or a certain situation. And so I think it's a difficult situation that you're navigating well. So I can sense your stress or pressure from it. Let's see the next card. We have intention for action and people. You're getting this kind of spiritual advisor kind of energy here, which means that someone around you is providing you some good perspective. They're going to help you see through something. They're going to initiate. They're talking with them will help you to make a decision in a new direction. And then we have perseverance and waiting. And this is really the part in which you're meant to wait. And it's not going to make full sense until it's the right time. So it's really using your patience. And then we have efficiency. So it's a difficult to work situation. And I don't mean work. It's a difficult situation to try to figure out. And so I think that with patience and just really holding your goals in focus, I think you're going to be doing very well. This is definitely, it really feels as though you've cleared whatever energy this is referring to, which means that you've just been through complicated situations. You've just been through just kind of difficult things, and it felt hostile. It felt like hostility was in the air. And I think you've gone through it well. And I think that you're making your path forward, and very acutely aware of what you choose will really determine your path. So you're really in, it really actually feels like the 8th house, that you're about to make certain changes, and those changes are going to set you off one way or the other. So why don't we take a look at your astrology so I can show this to you in more detail, and then we'll go and do a tarot card reading for this transit, okay? So the 8th house is where the conjunction is happening. As I said, it's deeply connected to the 12th house, and so together they have a lot of spiritual reference points. It's a very spiritual reference point. It's a point of profound questions being answered in your life. I feel as though it's like a turning of the page in your life, or a beginning of a new chapter. I think that some of you are going to be very feeling, how do you say this? You're going to be feeling really discomfort or tension from things that you accepted before. So whether it's, life experiences that were okay before, they're suddenly, you can't bear to do them. So you're going to make some pretty big changes as a result of this. If you watched any of the other videos about this, today I filmed like an all sign, so everybody got a message in time. And basically, if you watched any of the other content, you'll know that this is a subtle, powerful energy, which means that it's not like an event's happening per se. Some things may happen. I talked about that in the astrology and showed you some examples, but it's more on the subsurface. Things are changing in fundamental ways, and they're not necessarily like huge moments. But looking back at this time, you will see that shift, the splitting of the road. So for you, the change is huge. propelling you forward very quickly, and whatever life is asking you regarding change, embrace it. So we're going to do a horoscope spread, which means I'll do cards for every single house. And then that will be in reference to the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. So for you, this is the cycle of change, a cycle of transformation, a turning of the tide, an elevation point, really moving past uncomfortable things in the past. So first we start with the first house. And so this isn't actually so... I think your core is settled, and so this energy isn't necessarily confronting that aspect of yourself. This is really about the outside world in a big way for you. And so you are settled. So we have the star, which is the card of Aquarius. It's the card of soulmates. And then we have the Four of Swords. Yeah, it really feels as though what this is saying to me is you already have become who you needed to be. You're already there. You have prepared yourself, and you have become who you needed to be. And so now you're sort of waiting for the outside to sort of catch up and be in reference to that. So this is all it's saying, is that you're not doing growth here. You're waiting for the world to change to align with the growth you have already made. Now, we all grow and expand, but it just feels like it's a rest and vision. So maybe you have a vision for what you want. You have a perspective and a direction that you want to change. And so you have an idea in mind, and now you're waiting for outside factors to really kind of play into that. Okay? So then we have the moon in Virgo. So this is your second house. And so this is the opposite position from where Jupiter and Neptune joined today. So this is really much more about moving towards connection with other people, whereas this position right here has a lot more to do with yourself. So here you are waiting, yourself is waiting, but the world at large is about to call your name, and you're meant to go. But for the time being, you're this kind of, just waiting for that right moment. And if you're wondering like, oh, what is the right moment? I think it's going to be different for everyone. And I think that when it happens to you, you'll be like, okay, I'm going in this direction. So you can kind of sense that a change is coming right now, but maybe you don't know exactly what it is yet. Then we have the sun, great satisfaction. I think many of you are feeling very at home with who you are. There's not like things you need to work on and things you need to work through. And I think you're just very, very open to welcoming new things in, especially new emotions and new feelings. And then we have Seven of Swords. There's situations you want to get away from. There's things that you're excited about. It's not that deep. You're essentially ready. It's almost like your bags are packed and you're just waiting for the car to come pick you up to go to your next destination. And the card we have is understanding. Whatever situation you're moving past, especially ones that involve money, I think that it's not like you're forgiving of them, but I think that with understanding, you kind of understand what happened. And so it's not... you've found closure for the situation, and you're just moving on. You're moving past. So Seven of Swords, getting away from things, and there's things for you to look forward to. I think you're financially looking forward to things. You're looking forward to the time ahead. Okay? So now we're going to look at the third house. And so this is a less positive angle to the conjunction. And the third house has a lot to do with your neighborhood. You're very much looking past the local. You're not so looking around, what's going on here. You're looking far ahead. You're a big picture phase right now. So your mind is set on big things and less focused on details. So Five of Cups, maybe there have been like people have not been so cool like near where you are. Maybe you're just disappointment. Like it's not dramatic. It's not terrible, but there's like a limitation there. Your environment's not giving you what you want. And it could be that you've been experiencing cycles of being let down by people when you call people because things happen. Maybe they're just not there for you at this time. But Four of Wands, this is very hopeful. I see you have a big picture in your head. You have a big idea of where you want to go. And I think that people close to home right now are not it, essentially. So I think that you're shifting focus to different things and you're reaching out to others. And I think people near you at this time, it's not that necessarily your relationships are breaking down with them, but they're not fulfilling. And I think your heart is in a different place. Okay, let's see the next message. We have communication, which is actually the third house. So that's funny that came up. The third house is the house of communication. And, there's an aspect here of leaving people behind. So if you're in the process of moving forward in your life, Leo, I think this is just reminding you to really tell people that you're leaving behind what's going on, to give them that closure. But I really feel like you're going somewhere else. You're going in a new direction. Okay. And then we're going to move into the fourth house, which is positively aspected to the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. And so, again, it's that real focus on you and your life and where it's going. And the fourth house is home. So there's this kind of like coming to terms with things in the home, that kind of energy. Let's see some cards. 5. So you have a theme that's coming up right alongside your IC in the bottom part of the chart, which is the 5 of Pentacles. This just means it really feels as though there's a degree of disappointment from some people around. And this could be to do with your family, or this could be to do with like people who are near and dear you. It just feels as though they have not risen to the challenge. And I think that that's really prompted you to go and search for meaning in a better direction. 3 of Swords. So yeah, I just feel like and you're confronting that because the South Node is there. So this theme of people not being cool or people not being so, almost like blocking your way, because if they could only be there for you, then your way forward would be much easier. So there's resistance from people around you. And I think that it could be a degree of disappointment or sad, but I think that it's actually motivating you to forge ahead and go ahead. Let's see the next message. We have honesty. So honest conversations, the writing's on the wall. They're going to do what they're going to do, and they're going to show you what they're going to show you. And I think that rather than making you sad, it's actually making you more focused on change. It's making you really understand. It's, let's say that you live in a place that you mediocrely like, and a couple things happen between yourself and others, and that's just like the last nail in the coffin, and you're like, no, this isn't for me. It's just like that confirmation is coming in that is prompting you to go in a different direction. And I'm not sure if it's one thing or several things, but I do feel like you're being drawn in a new direction. And then we have the 5th house, which is Sagittarian. This is a stress angle. I think you're making a lot of changes. You're really thinking about the big picture, Leo. And so therefore your relationships with other people are strained. They don't necessarily understand, or they're not necessarily on the same page, and you've jumped pages a lot. This happens to me a lot because I have an Aquarian moon, and I'm pretty sure that that's what causes it, which means that Aquarian moons can be very solitary because we switch our vibe very quickly. So it's sort of like your agenda's changed. And therefore, communicating that to one person, they like you for one aspect of yourself, and then you're really shifting here and focusing on something else. So it's like they're dating 2 different people. Okay, look how dark it got. It's only 6 or 7 here. The sun shouldn't be set, but there's thick clouds. It snowed this morning. It might snow again. Anyway, that's just a sidebar. So we have Ace of Pentacles here. somebody could be making a proposal to someone else in order to avoid separation. So that's what's coming up. It feels very anxious if they're doing that. They're doing it, you know, don't leave me, marry me, move in with me, that sort of thing. And then we have the Empress energy. So this is the energy of the mother. You know, if you're in a relationship, it is positive. Lovers, yeah. There's, you know, I think that you need to protect your relationship a little bit from your ambition. You're in a very ambitious state. And so you want to make sure that your ambition and your goal setting and your new direction isn't in some way detracting from, it looks like something good. It looks like a good friendship, a good connection. The 5th house is also the house of children. So make sure you're not neglecting your kids, and make sure that you're physically present with them. I think you have your mind's somewhere else. So relationships with other people, especially close relationships, you have to put extra effort into them to manage them. Okay, so now let's take a look at the Capricorn energy in the 6th house. So by the way, if you're a Sagittarius waiting, look how dark it's gotten. I'm going to have to come back and do your reading tomorrow. So you guys are just going to have a dedicated reading for me, because if we continue, there's going to be pitch black. So thank you guys for waiting, and we'll be back tomorrow. I'll do yours first, so hold on tight with that. Okay, so Capricorn energy in your 6th house. And so what this represents is definitely like you change the way that you are doing things. You're changing the way that you're implementing things. How do I say this? You're changing the way that you're doing things on a day-to-day basis. Your priorities are changing, and where you're spending time is changing at this time as well. I think you're just really getting ready for some massive changes, and I think Neptune and Jupiter just have pushed you in that direction. We have the Ace of Swords, and then we have the Moon. You may be making decisions about things. How do you say this? You don't even know where that consequence will flow to. So you have you're making a decision, but you don't fully appreciate where things are going. And then we have the Strength card, which is you're meant to go in a different direction. You're meant to make some changes in simple things at this time. And there's going to be some long-term implication for those changes, which means that you may, I don't know, just go in a different direction in what you do on a regular basis. You may change your schedule. You may change where you spend time. Like if you shop at the grocery store in one town, then maybe you'll move and start shopping somewhere else. And it's not going to make sense at first why you do that, but then that's going to really play into the bigger picture. At the end of the day, you'll see how that change really complemented this other change that is before you. And we have awakening. So it's a very, very spiritual consciousness. It's not very logic-based sort of moment. And so you're going with the vibe. You're being directed in different directions. Yourself, and it doesn't really fully make sense. The Moon, it's like a bit of a question mark. It's a little bit of a mystery. Okay, so now let's take a look at your 7th house. And so this is a less focused area, as I said about the 5th house, very similar energy with regard to Neptune, right? So let's see. Just protect your loved ones. That's what the message is. Okay, so we have the 9 of Swords. Someone may not understand what's going on. I do sense that people around you, I've picked up on the fact that some may be hostile, but some people may be genuinely hurt because they don't understand. So you need to really work hard to bring compassion to those situations and explain to them what's going on for you, that you're on beginning some big change. Somebody could be trying to make things up with you. Somebody who feels that they've hurt you or that they've done really poorly by you, they may in some way be extending towards you something. out of guilt, out of responsibility, those kinds of things. This may be an ex-partner, or it may be a person who broke commitment with you. Look. So it could be your ex-husband or ex-wife, but it really feels as though somebody's done some emotional growth and emotional healing, and I think they're trying to make it up for you, make it up to you. So yes, they could be trying to make it up to you, make better, but I sense that a partner or someone, you know, that has contributed to this situation feels pretty guilty for what they've done. And so now they're in some way trying to make it better. Okay, so now let's take a look at the 8th house. This is where the conjunction is happening. This is where the changes are coming from. So big change. We can see changes happening throughout the whole zodiac. So big change, big transformation. So we have the Knight of Wands. Something's very quickly changing. So it could be something like your environment's quickly changing. And as the environment's changing, you kind of read the writing on the wall and you're like, I'm going to make changes along with what's going on around me. And I think that you're going after money. I think there's an element of, you know, changing your direction to set up a better financial situation for yourself in a different direction. Let's see the next message. We have the Empress. There's some long-term goals that you're trying to create for yourself. Some of you may be moving towards your mom, or a strong female figure in your life. There may be like moving towards being closer to that person. But then also there's something about you like growing into yourself here and changing your environment. You're essentially you're being almost like a beacon, like a lighthouse is drawing you towards something more concrete. I'm also sensing that it's possible that in your life, your environment, it may be even nice, but I sense a letdown. I really sense a letdown. And I think that you're choosing a new direction, that is much more prosperous and much more consistent. And I think that like a part of it is you demanding more. Like you're no longer okay with accepting what has been. Okay. Okay. And then we have the 9th house, which is also somewhat understated. If anything, Chiron here is providing context, which means that I think that like respect is a real issue at this time for you, which means that you're really focused on, you're recognizing how lack of respect has held you back or slowed you down or not let you come into your own. And so I think you're being very discerning and critical to make sure that like you connect the dots between the respect that you receive and the outcome. Okay. So what are we getting for the 9th house? Communication about things. I think you're trying to talk to people about things. I think you're trying to communicate to others how they should treat you or how they should interact with you. But from some instances, you may not be getting the answer you want. Then we have some of you are pushing your partner into marriage or into living together. This may be also happening to you, but I think that you're suddenly demanding more in relationships. And this could also be in work. You might be very, very like much more, I need more out of this and I'm not going to wait forever for this to work out this way. And then we have the Page of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. Secondary transits, very earthy. I just think that you're very flexible-minded at this time. If one situation is not working for you so much, then I think you're very much eager and willing to change your life around at this time and go a different direction. I have a feeling that there's powerful conversations with your partner or your ex-partner at this time. There could be decisions regarding children, particularly children who are going into university. There could be conversations about how that's going to work out, and a very protective energy to make sure that they're going to do okay. Then we have inspiration. Okay. Let's see, I'll show you. So we have inspiration right now. So I just think that you have something in your head and you're deciding a lot about your life, and those decisions are impacting your relationships. You're like, this is the type of situation I want. You're making demands, Leo. You're making demands. So that's good. That's actually a very good thing, I think. The next energy is in the 10th house. And so this is a very symbiotic energy to the Piscean transit. And this is like who you are in the world is changing in a big way. This is a transit of change and a transit of who you are. This transit, Uranus in the North Node, is gnarly. I'm just telling you, it's really, really, really intense. It's you're shaking things up, and I think that you should try to shake things up more. Like just do more and challenge your environment. It makes you want and crave, atypical experiences, or it makes you very, how do you say this? It makes you really want to challenge things. It makes you really want to push for more or in a different way, an atypical answer, or, finding some kind of different solution to problems. So outside the box thinking in a big way for Leo. Ace of Pentacles, some of you are starting new businesses or doing things a different way. And I don't think you should be shy from doing it. As your personal stuff changes, this 8th house energy, I think that that's going to greatly affect that. Because you're not going to, like if you dye your hair pink, that's going to affect certain things about where you work and, what you do. So whatever it is that you're doing and whatever reason you're doing it for, I think it's changing things up for you. We have the 7 of Wands. And I think that, defending your space, if anybody has a problem with it, there's the door. And I think ultimately you're going to make some big changes. You're going to travel. You may, get hired far away. There's a big change ahead of you, Leo, that you're getting ready for. And then we have flexibility. So I think you're demanding more from your environment. And if your environment is rigid in any way, which means that, 9 to 5 and no days off sort of thing, I think that those people who are in those situations will see the biggest changes. Because if you have a environment that's flexible and adaptive to you, then that's going to really work well with your energy. But if you have a restrictive environment that doesn't let you change things up, I think that you're going to keep on hitting resistance and you're going to have to keep on fighting for it. So it depends on your situation, Leo, but I think you're branching out. And if there's walls there, you're going to hit your head against the wall a few times. But ultimately you'll still get there. So it depends on your situation and how rigid it is. But definitely breaking out, branching out, going in different directions. By the way, it got brighter because that's how clouds are. So maybe I'll stick around and we can do Sagittarius. Sorry to go back and forth with you on that. So the last, second to last transit in the 11th house is in Gemini. And so this is a more tense energy. It's not about you and anybody else at this time. It's really about you and you only, and you shouldn't worry about anyone. So we have the Queen of Cups, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. I have a feeling people are taking things personally as you're going in different direction. People are just, they're resistant. You are getting resistance from others. King of Pentacles, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. A Page of Swords. So these people are important in some way for you at this time, Leo. I do feel as though these people are also certain degrees of resistance. There's a person who's bringing in new ideas into what you're thinking about. There's a person who confuses things and brings in details. I really feel as though you should be at this time not guarded. They're not your friends. I just feel like there's a real need here to focus on what you're doing and keep on track with your direction. And I think that people's whims and interpretations and how they, experience the changes you're taking on will take up a lot of time to deal with. So it depends on your situation and how you deal with it. But I sense a lot of distraction from friends. Some of it's emotional, some of it's time related, and you need to really decide whether you have the time to give. Okay? And so the last house is in your 12th house. And so this is a beautiful trine to the conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune. And so this is your spiritual awareness point of what's going on. I think one of the messages that I get for you is be very patient and really see things through. The Lovers is ruled by Gemini, but it's also the card of the Brothers. Cards are falling out for you. Certain relationships are creating space. I think getting away from critical things, getting away from hostilities. Some of you are stepping away from your family. So if the family is in some way slowing you down, I think that you're not going to stick around for it. And your last card is the Five of Pentacles. So a lot of it's tied into how have people been there for you. And I think if they have not been, Leo, I think you're very prone to step away at this time. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this video. This was really fun. And I'm going to move on and do Sagittarius. We will do it. And if it gets really dark, then I'm sorry. But otherwise, it won't, it will just break things up even more than they are. So Leos, take care. Enjoy this conjunction. Hopefully I gave you some messages that help. And now we're going to move on to Sagittarius. So, hey Sagittarius, welcome. So now let's take a look at your cards. Are there any Sagittarians still watching, or did you guys all leave? I probably made them leave, but that's okay. Okay, so let's see. So Sagittarians, hello. Okay, good. So now let's get some messages for Sag. By the way, the conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune is in your 4th house of home. So we've already talked about this earlier today, that there's real breakthroughs, and especially like you want to buy a house. Buying a house is really picky right now, right? It's a very weird time for purchasing a house and that kind of situation. So you may be experiencing something very lucky, getting a good deal on something if that's what you want. But here's some Braille messages, just spirit messages. Inner voice, trust your inner voice, and people, which is the High Priestess. So you're getting huge intuition cards. I have a feeling, like even from earlier reading today, that you're tinkering with something, trying to figure it out. The next message is praying, which is number 72. And then we have higher level forces. I have a feeling that some things in your environment are not what you need them to be in order to get to where you want to go. And so there's this personal reflection about all of the fire signs are getting this me and the environment sort of energy, and like honoring yourself or honoring your highest good, understanding what it needs, and not necessarily in a judgmental way, but really saying, this is what I need, this is what I want. And really understanding that without doing that, you will not get to go where you want to go. Then we have reaching, number 35 or 65. And then we have danger. I have a feeling that there's a feeling of, if I try to do this, then I risk a lot, right? And so you're waiting for the right set of circumstances in order to be able to make a dream come true for yourself. But I think that you're hesitant because you have some good things around you, and so you're wary of losing them or putting them in threat in some way. But I think that you're very tempted to pursue something, to go do something, and you've been tinkering with the idea for a while. Tinkering meaning like you've been trying to figure out how to do it. Okay, so we have simplicity first, simplicity, and this is for the inner voice and the high priestess. I just feel as though, you're coming to terms with the fact that you want something, or you want something to happen, Sagittarius. And I think that it's, in retrospect, it will be very easy for you to identify the things you wanted and the things you chose and the things that worked. But I think that also move in the forward moving direction, it's very hard to tell, and it can feel very intimidating. So it feels like you're intimidated by the prospect of something. You're intimidated by the world out there. And I think that a lot makes sense at your house, in your home. Let's say that you're a singer and you've been singing at home, and you're like, I really want to take it out of the house and go in a different direction. And go in a different direction, or bring that out of the house. I sing at home. I want to, sing in public. But there's like a feeling of worry there, that you're risking it, that you're taking a chance. And so I think that there's an inner voice calling your name towards something that you've been working through in the home that's very personal to you, and that matters a lot to you. So you're wanting to bring that out. Okay. And then we have patience, the energy of patience. So praying for higher level, this is really cards about protection and having frequencies to help you in where you want to go. And I think that there's been questions about whether or not there is anything for you. You may have even doubted that there's things out there for you, Sagittarius. And I think that it's saying patience, which to me signifies that things are coming to help you. And when I say frequencies, I mean, esoteric energies, or however you want to call it, that facilitate or help you along your way. Or this can literally mean certain people coming into your life and helping you to get out of the house and go in this direction. So by the house, I mean what's familiar and what you already have established. And I think that, it's kind of like waiting for the rain to stop, or waiting for the snow to stop so you can go out of the house. And maybe a friend comes over with an umbrella and says, come on, let's go together. That kind of energy. So you're waiting for something to make it a more trustworthy path for you to take. Because right now I think that there's some questions about that. And then we have reaching danger, and then we have transformation. So there's a risk element here. And let's look at your chart, because that really speaks to me about what this is talking about. You can see all your transits are in the lower part of the zodiac. There's really not much at the upper part, which means that you're very introspective at this time. And so any form of transformation, any form of outward transformation can feel very intimidating. It's you versus the world, and you're fine at home. And, at home, everything works perfectly. It's outside of the house where you are not so sure. I'm not saying things don't work out. I think that you're just very hesitant towards being out there at this time. And maybe this is true for Sagittarian risings more so than Sagittarian sun or moon. But I have a feeling that Sagittarian moons especially can be very feeling, because the moon is internal, it's the mind and emotions. So you could be feeling very much like you want to pull away from the world and just do your own thing. It simply doesn't make sense, right? It's simply the outside world doesn't make sense at this time. It's not bad. It's not, but I think that some things close to home really are impactful for you. They make sense a lot. And what's going on out there has you scratching your head a bit. If that's how I sort of see it. Okay, so now let's take a look at your tarot cards. Well, maybe I should expand on the astrology a little bit just to show you. So big focus today in the house and the home. Home comes naturally to you. You have one of the most how do you say, like extreme kind of alignments, because there's nothing up here. So you're very, very introspective at this time. You're very drawn in. Maybe somebody's there with you, or maybe you're alone, you know, but whatever it is, home feels normal. Home feels great. Home is working out great. But then out here, it's like, who's out there? It's like walking into the darkness and carrying a lamp and being like, hello, and you hear the echo, hello, 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 you know. So it feels different, and it feels uncomfortable, and so that will break, that will change, but for the time being, I think home and close to home feels natural to you, and that's where you're really growing, and everything out here feels a little bit like forced. If somebody says get out of the house, you have to push more energy to go out there. And it's not a bad thing. It's just because the planets are this way that things close to home work really well. Okay, first house message. There's nothing much in the first house. And I think that that's coming in conflict with your personality, which is the first house, right? So your desire to sort of be at home, that's not a very Sagittarian thing, you know? Leave me at home and throw away the key is not like a Sagittarian personality trait. So a part of you is like lock me in, but a part of you is like, okay, I'm bored now. I really need something different. It will change soon. And I think that just go with that feeling. 8 of Pentacles. I think this is a great opportunity for you to work on some things. To, you know, finish your tasks, because when these planets start moving in the upper side of the chart, you're going to be out of the house and you're going to have no time for anything. So use this time to work on the things that you need to address. We have the 4 of Cups. The 4 of Cups to me suggests that there's people reaching out to you, and I don't think you're very open to it. So you have invitations, and it's a time for you to rest. So I really feel as though you're just not there for the outside world. You're there to make yourself comfortable. I don't think that, you know, every invitation is like something that you're excited about. I think you're just very much focused in on yourself. And I think fundamentally you need to rest and just decompress everything. So we have peace. Yeah, peace and tranquility. It feels like I really sense that home and being close to your house at this time feels very good for you. And I think you're preoccupied with things around the house as well. So like different projects, you might be fixing things, you might be doing things. You might be singing in the house, walking around. Okay. Then we have the second house, which is actually a very positive aspect to the conjunction. So your finances are improving because of this. Sometimes Sagittarian shortcoming is that you move so fast that money flows out behind you very quickly. So you're just busy, and keeping track of money is not on your priority list, so it can go fast. So when you're more centered and grounded and more kind of in one place, it's really boosting your finances. Your money's doing well. Okay, then we have the King of Wands here. 3 of Swords. Some of you went through a breakup, and that really pulled you in close to the house, and you're just waiting for the right time. So I guess the answer is, if you're here and you're like, when will I stop waiting? When will this cycle end? It's coming. It will come. I would say like May or June. I'll do more on that specifically once I check the charts. But I do feel like some of you are essentially just in the house, in the home, because of maybe a heartbreak or a disappointment. And that's okay. So something could have been the trigger. Let's pick your cards. We have birth, new beginning, waiting for something new. Definitely waiting. A lot of signs got this kind of, when's the right time to go? When's the right time to pursue this? So you're other people are waiting as well. A lot of people are waiting for a more opportune time, like buying a house right now. So if you live in Canada, you know, like I think the average house in Canada for Americans, if you guys want to kind of be surprised, is $800,000. That's the average across Canada. The average price of a home in Canada is $800,000, which is so maybe, and many people speculate that that's a bubble. There's a lot of speculation, and so that can be questionable. There's reasons for it to be, but there's questions about whether it is or not. It may not be. But for such things as buying a house, you know, right now might be a weird time, because if everything's inflated, you buy a house, you get a mortgage, and then the price of the house goes down and you're stuck, right? So, you know, there could be a tenuous moment there. So I lost track. Did we do the third house? I think I was just talking about the second house, and I could sense you being at home and being grounded, and then possibly, you know, how that could affect your money and making decisions. So I kind of lost track because I started thinking about this. So we'll go on to the third house, and this is where Saturn and Mars are in your third house with friends and your community. This is a strong area. This is where you're feeling very at home. Things make sense. Go over to your neighbors, have a coffee, have a tea, Hierophant community. Yeah, you're comfy. You know, you're going to your neighborhood grocery store, corner store, whatever. We have the Six of Pentacles. You know all your neighbors. You know what they're doing. And the Knight of Cups. There's a potential of a really good connection here with someone close to you. You know, a neighbor or friend, someone who's nearby. There's a improvement in a relationship, or that relationship is growing at this time. Very, very close relationship. And Saturn there is pretty picky. So we have openness. So somebody's open to knowing you. There's a connection. You're doing less running around. I think that's what I was talking about. That you're not losing money by running around and missing track of things. And now you can really kind of make some bigger life decisions. Something like that. But here is someone who's coming in, again, because you're not over there so much right now. This is allowing you to make connections and build interconnections with others. So you're around more, you're working less possibly, or you're just around more, which is just allowing you to make a connection with someone. You're making a connection with others. Then we have the fourth house, and this is where the conjunction is, the house and home. This is where everything makes sense. Relationship with father and mother are improving. Understanding of where your family has come from, understanding like layers to family stuff. Definitely, you understand yourself, you understand what you want. It's the conjunction is very like grounding for you. So it's almost like, I think of Sagittarius sometimes like you take your marker point and then you guys go from everywhere from that one spot. So there's one position that's kind of like home base, and then you go and you do all these. So this conjunction between Neptune and Jupiter is you sort of setting your home base somewhere, and soon you'll be going and in different directions from that position. So you're getting very good with what home is, what home base is, and that includes your family history. That includes, you know, making sense of things, so that when you're moving quick and trying different things in different directions, you've addressed some of the foundational concerns or questions. I don't know if that makes sense, but you're just grounded, and from that grounded place, you can go in good directions. We have Four of Swords, a lot of rest at home. Let's see what else. And then we have the Queen of Wands, Sag, Leo, or Aries. And then we have the Three of Wands, Four of Swords, Queen of Wands. I just have a feeling that for some of you, a mother has been waiting for things to turn around, and it is improving. And I think that some things, you're waiting for certain things to align better. And whether you're a spiritual person and you look for these things or not, you're intuitively waiting for things to be more comfortably aligned to the point that, oh, I want to go in this direction. Okay. So you're just waiting for better alignment. Okay. So 5th house here. So this is less of a thing. I think you may be at home with your partner, like if you're married, or if you're together with someone, that's okay. But I think that you're very introspective at this time, and I think you're very focused on like getting comfortable and getting your place in order. So I think that any relationship that you're in right now is a compliment. And if you're not in a relationship, it will be a stretch for you to get into a relationship at this time, because simply you're more self-focused at this time. A relationship can come after if you're single. If you're already in a relationship, it's more of probably an autonomous time for you, and you're more focused on yourself. So we have 5th house. Okay. So we have the Tower, which is Chiron in the 5th house. That's okay. And then we have the 6 of Cups. This could be a very powerful connection with someone. When you get Tower with the Lovers or the 6 of Cups, this could be like a breakthrough moment in a relationship. And then 7 of Cups. I think that there's a lack of communication between you and your partner at this time if you're in a relationship, or if there is a love interest, there's a sporadic communication. It could be a lot of hot and cold sort of energy and at this time. And I think, sometimes it can be really wonderful and really easygoing, and sometimes it could be feeling confusing, like things don't add up. I essentially think if you are in a relationship, you're trying to enter into a relationship, you could be pushing the issue because your energy is not really aligned for it. So you could be trying to make it happen, and that could be causing miscommunication and misalignment with your partner. So in other words, don't try to push it at this time. Leave it as it is, and when the energy shifts to when you become more outward searching, then that will work itself out better. But I think by trying to push a situation to make it work or whatever at this time, I think that you're going to add problems to it. Okay? So here is a next message. We have adventure. So there could be this feeling or there could be a literal trip that you're meant to go on, but it's really not the time to plan with your partner. It's not a time when you're in that headspace. So you could be like, we need to make plans for September to travel, but it really feels like a difficult time to set plans in that direction. So if you do have travel plans that you need to figure out, I guess you have no choice and you need to try it, but expect to use your patience and be patient with the situation, and don't try to force the issue, and don't get upset when it's not super easy at this time. And there could be a lot of back and forth at this time with love and romance. A lot of like, this is the perfect connection and it's so cozy and it's so nice. And then there could be like question marks at this time. And is this person good for me, or, that kind of stuff. Okay. So now let's take a look at the 6th house, and that's a positive aspect to this. So your schedule is actually becoming much more manageable at this time, which means that, outstanding tasks and things you needed to do, you're really catching up on. I think that you have less distractions at this time, and so therefore you can do the things that you wanted to do. And it's not permanent. It's only temporary that this effect is with you. But at this time, you just have more time. You have new ways of solving old time availability issues. You just have more time for yourself. Okay. And so, yeah, you can focus in on what you need to do. Five of Pentacles first. There's an issue of someone not necessarily, how do I say this? If you're not going to be there with me, I'm just going to do it myself. And this isn't to do with a love relationship. This is to do with like a friend or a coworker or something like that, where you already know how you're going to deal with that situation, because you're no longer looking towards someone specifically, because they're underwhelming in terms of how they give, or they're not, you already know what you're dealing with, so you're not expecting much from them. And let me stress, it really feels like a friend, a coworker, not someone too deep. But I think that there's been a prolonged back and forth with this person, and you've come to terms with the fact that they're just, they'll take anything that you're willing to give them. But I think that they're pretty stingy with their time and effort towards you, and you've been coming in to realize that. And as you have realized it, you finally get rest, because rather than compensating for what you're like, hey, what's going, they're being sneaky about it, in other words. And we have King of Swords. Very likely you might cut out some people like this in your life. Anybody who's sucking up your energy, when you find yourself doing something for someone else and them not necessarily doing so much back, I think you're going to be very critical of that. And I think it's going to have a lot to do with time. You're just so quick to want to be back home. You're so quick to turn your back on situations and seek a more private experience. Okay, so we have forgiveness. This is so tied into forgiveness. We can do a whole video on that, but this kind of like, there could be like a layer of like, hey, I did all this for you. Not that you did it to get help from someone, but this kind of like, hey, you did me dirty. I did so much for you. You weren't as good of a friend to me as I was to you. And that level of forgiveness, the expectation of forgiveness, or the desire for there to be forgiveness or recognition, I think you're letting go of that, actually. I think you're not seeking resolution in this situation. You're really getting rest. I think that like you're really not there to compensate and reconcile for what somebody else isn't doing. It's a very interesting reading for Sag. You're really done. You're very, very done with a lot of people. And it really seems as though, I know it seems like it's a funny reading, but it's a very matter of fact. It's like, screw you and screw you. And, I'm just going to do me. And there's a level of frustration here, which means that like, you don't know what's out there in the world. And you're like, for now, I'm just going to hang out at home. But then there's a part of you that wants to go out. So you're conflicted. I'm not laughing at your pain or your suffering. I don't think it's suffering. I just think it's a funny time in your life in which the energies are very different to your natural energy. So you feel at odds with your environment, but it's not like the environment is bad. It's the astrology is different than what you feel comfortable in. And so, yeah, you're comfortable. You're comfortable when you're at home. You're comfortable doing your things. And it's weird to sense a Sagittarian not trying to be out there with other people and just being more isolated, right? Like it's a really funny thing to kind of sense that you're not out there, living life, even if by yourself. Sagittarians can be quite solitary creatures, but even if you're out there traveling, or you're out there, doing your own thing. And I don't think that that's a priority for you at all. So now let's talk about 7th house. So this is another one of those positions that, partnership, it's off your list in terms of priorities at this time. Can it happen? Can love happen? Sure. But at this time with the Neptune conjunction, with Jupiter, I don't think that it's more of, how to manage your relationship and avoiding very big issues with your partner if you're married. So you're avoiding the big question, and you just want to keep things simple and kind of, keep the relationship stuff down, okay, with other people. And that includes your partner. So we have King of Swords. There you are. So you're very King of Swords energy, very willing and looking forward to, cutting things out. For some of you, your partner could be very emotional at this time. They could be I don't know. They could be when you pull away from people, I always use this example like a baby, right? When you give your finger to a baby and you pull away, it grips it stronger. So humans have this predisposition to cling if someone pulls away. So your partner may be a little clingy right now, but it's not, that's they're appreciating you. And so I think that if you are in a relationship, it's a fairly big balance between wanting to be alone and then wanting to be nice with your partner. I think you're forcing yourself to essentially interact with them if you're in a relationship. I think that you really want to be alone. And I get this, maybe for the time being, but I really sense that, I just feel like you want distance, you want your own path. I think that trying to manage, their feelings and your needs is a priority right now, and it's taking up a lot of time. So you're very, very much focused on you, and anything to do with anybody else seems like a chore, frankly. And then we have respect, but you are doing it. So if you're in a relationship, you are going to talk to them. You're not going to push them out, even though it feels really good for you to, when they're at work and you can just be by yourself. But there's this feeling of forcing yourself to accommodate somebody else's needs at this time. It's not coming from a desire place. Desire will come later, but for now, it's just not your priority. So we have next the 8th house. And so this is a perfect trine to the conjunction. And again, you're preoccupied. That's what's going on. You're preoccupied. You have different goals, dreams, ambitions. You want to change things up, and you don't want anything from the present moment to distract you. So you're being a visionary, and you don't want the outside world to affect your dreams or your visions. So we have the 7 of Pentacles first, some long-term goals, some long-term ambitions. And then we have the Hierophant next. And so some long-term plans. Some of you are trying to change the community you're in. So if you spend time with one group of people, you may be really thinking about a different direction. For some of you, this is religious, but for others, it's just the people you spend time with. I think that for some of you, it has a lot to do socially ultimately, which means that directly you're not trying to change who you spend time with in the immediate moment. But I think in the long term, I think that you're waiting. You already know that the people that you have around are not necessarily the people that complement. And so the 8th house is who you share energy with, resources with. But time is a resource, and I think that you're waiting for better situation. Okay, and so here is I picked 2. So we have faith and love. It's not that you hate your friends. I just think that you're restless with what you have at this time. And that has a lot to do with personal growth and being on the same page as someone else. What kind of people, let's say you're an artist and you really want to be around artists, because by being around artists, you can do art more, right? You can do art stuff with anyone. But when you're really in a community of people who love what you do and love what you love doing, that really clicks. So it's not necessarily that anybody's bad around you. I just sense that you feel like they're a bit of a pain in the butt, the people around you, your clingy husband or, or whatever else. It just feels like, and it's not that you dislike people or you dislike your partner. It's that you're very focused in, and you kind of have made certain changes within yourself. And so now you're waiting for some better compliments to in the outside world to emerge for you to share those things with, to really thrive in that energy. Okay, so then we have the 9th house. It's so funny. You're just so like, it's not like, I'm not pathologizing you, so it's not like you're antisocial personality disorder, but you're kind of antisocial, and it's funny to see it. Again, it came up again. It's just that home and your personal space is so good right now, like pajamas and socks and, you know, comfy things, maybe your cat, whatever. It's just, it feels so right, and everything else feels so wrong. So here's the 9th house. I think that there's a disconnect. I think that you're disconnected from the news. I think, you know, things that you're hearing about people that you know, it just feels like not in a bad way, just are not connecting to those things right now. The thing that makes sense is your room and your bed or your couch or whatever else. Your home feels good, but everything else feels kind of strange. So let's see the 9th house. So we have family. It's good. You have family out there, but I feel like maybe there's distance from your family. Look, the World card. Maybe some people in your family are far away for a time. They may have gone to travel or something like that. Let's see. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles. Maybe this will change moving forward. Somebody's meant to come from far away, or maybe you're meant to travel from far away. And yeah, it feels as though someone's far away who's important. Okay? Either you or them need to travel, and that's a huge part of the things that are going on for you. The person you feel at home with, the person you feel comfortable with, far away. And then we have Grace. This is the Knight of Pentacles. So yeah, just someone with whom there's just a natural connection. It just feels like, you know, we all have this friend who's far away, and they're just like that perfect person, right? Like, and so if they go away, or if a friend of yours is far, it's like that one person is the missing piece. So it looks as though some of you, or many of you maybe, are experiencing the fact that someone who's very important to you, someone who's a big part of your life, is far away at this time. And so you're missing them, and nothing else kind of hits that spot in the same way as they do. So they'll come back. There's with the World card and the Knight of Pentacles, there's definitely travel involved. These are temporary kind of movements. Somebody went to achieve something, or maybe you're waiting to branch out in the world, and for now, for whatever reason, you can't go. So there's this, you know, me and the world beyond. There's a real feeling that I'm getting for you, in which you want to be out in the world. You want to go somewhere else, but for whatever reason, you're still at home, right? And that's not a bad thing, but your time will come. It's just that desire to go. Okay, so next we have the 10th house, and so this is directly opposite. So your work can call you for an extra shift. You're not going to pick up unless you have to. I think that you're you're first out the door to ready to go home at this time. It's just home is calling your name, and so therefore your focus on your career and your public, you don't care. You don't care about office politics. You don't care about gossip at work. You know, you may still go do your job, and it's not necessarily that your job is going to change, but you're so focused on your house, right? And your priority with regard to work is just down. It's not so highlighted at this time. So we have Justice. I just feel like away from politics is something rest from people, justice from people, like an Ace of Swords. I just feel as though you really want to, like I said, keep it simple. The outside world is just a mess. Not just for you personally, but in general. This is your observation. It just seems like a waste of time. There's no incentive to be out there. You know, like maybe someone from work is telling you some juicy story about someone else from work or something like that. And you're just like, it doesn't matter. It's not my priority. And so home, family, things close to home are what matter. And everything else is sort of, you know, it's also very neutral. So in other words, there could be no conflict going on for you at this time in terms of your career, in terms of your work. Things are just running along smoothly and you don't have to worry about, you know, upheavals and turmoil or anything like that. So it's a very quiet time at this time. Purification. So yeah, it just seems very like it's balanced and it's okay, and it's not necessarily bad. I don't think there's any, it's just very neutral. And I think that not much is going on, and that warrants your attention in that area of your life, in your public area of your life, because you're so focused here in the 4th house and the 3rd house. You just don't want to leave. I don't care. I don't care. That's your energy. I don't care. And then the 11th house is not necessarily a house that is deeply connected to this this conjunction, but this has to do with friends. So again, other people are off your priority list. That doesn't mean you don't have friends. It just means that it's less important. 4 of Wands, home. You can come over if you want. You know, you live 150 miles away. Come over if you want, but I'm not going anywhere. 5 of Swords. So you might be alone a little bit. I don't think you're willing to go out of the house to meet your friends and to reach them halfway. And so we have 6 of Cups. This came up a lot. So there is someone, and I picked up on the fact that like when you're at your house, you're with someone else. This could be a friend, or it could be like something closer. So there is an energy around you with whom you're spending time with. It's not that you're completely by yourself, but in terms of keeping your social life going, I just don't think, I think that it's because you're not so invested in, you know, needing to fulfill a social aspect of your life. If somebody wants to hang out with you, they need to put in the effort, because you're not going to put in that much effort at this time, I think. Yeah, I think you've literally turned your back on the rest of the world, and that's okay. I hope that you're having a good time, and we all need it sometimes, right? So the last transit is in the 12th house, and so that is this is a harmonious angle to the conjunction. A lot's going on in your mind, and you just need to slow down and really listen to what your mind is telling you, to your personal inspiration. So first card is the 8 of Wands. I feel like some things are just simply overwhelming. Like some things are just too much to think about. Some things are too complex. You know, just weighed down. There's a degree of, not weighed down, there's a degree of 5 of Wands. It's like other people's problems, other people's politics are a nuisance for you at this time. They're not enticing. And then Knight of Wands, I think you're very much decided to distance yourself from other people. And we are waiting for a good time to make a new direction. In fact, the new direction has already started for you. This is this incubation part in your house. But I think it's just a matter of time before. And so the old things just don't resonate. They're just not what you're looking for. They don't hit your, they don't strike your fancy, or whatever people say. So delight. Some new things to care about. Getting excited about new things, and really leaving any stress or struggle behind. So I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. Today was a kind of a big day. We've done a lot of readings. It's getting really dark now, and not just because of clouds, because the sun is setting. So I hope you guys have a good night. And if you're an air sign, I'll be doing a video tomorrow morning for Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra. Thank you for waiting. And in the meantime, go watch the Neptune-Jupiter conjunction. It's out now. Talk to you soon.